even though I'm entering into a relationship with this person, that I can exit anytime and be secure.
Right. Oh, that's so good.
Hey everybody, I'm Jay.
And I'm Tay.
Hey, and we are wrapping up our series titled Married in 90 Days. And it has been a pretty wild ride of exposing some ups and downs and all the chaos of two strangers kind of getting married and not dating, and then all this nonsense bull going on. A lot of it's been self-inflicted, right? But
Yeah.
a lot of it's been self-inflicted. So we got some topics here to wrap up this series. We first want to thank you guys for sticking with us through the series. It truly means a lot. A lot of our viewers aren't subscribers, so it would mean a lot as well if you guys, if you're not subscribed and you're watching this and you're loving the entertainment value that we bring, because we are just phenomenal comedians in our natural habitat, like wild gazelles fleeing from a roaring lion. Go ahead and smash that subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
And this is what God gave me.
Yes.
I love you, babe.
No, actually, biblically, God gave me you.
He did. But
Yes.
you came with this.
I did. He gave me special talents that I have buried and multiplied. So,
You can.
get to the point. Mwah. I love you, babe.
No, you can.
All right, so man, this one, this is titled "The Big Lie." What are we titled? The Big Lie You've Been Told in Marriage. Wow! And if you stick with us in this video, we're gonna drop some marriage advice that we have
Experience.
kind of experienced. A
We
lot
ain't
of
gonna
trial
talk
and
about
error.
nothing that we have not experienced. I don't want to do that. Definitely, we want to give y'all some truth, things we've actually lived through and been through in our marriage.
Yeah.
We are being absolutely raw and transparent, so y'all might see some emotions.
Oh, you will
Especially
see some
over
emotions.
here, because it's very hard to hide how I feel. So yeah.
Man, so that's a good segue into hiding how you feel, because topic number one is, what have you discovered that isn't actually true from things you've heard people say?
I've heard people say that marriage was easy. You know, and I feel like and I see a lot of couples that are actually married and they're just like, oh, it's easy when you're meant to be. I mean, but that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that to me. I don't believe that it should just necessarily be easy. I believe that you, as a married couple, and being obedient to God, right? Like you're gonna face some stuff. So for people to pretend and walk around and act like marriage is just easy and their marriage is perfect and all this stuff, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a false sense of what marriage truly is. Like you're gonna have, the enemy is gonna come after you even more, especially when God has called you to it. So
You know, that's a really good point, because biblically speaking, in Genesis, right, you didn't see anything about Satan at all until the union of marriage presented itself. You know, when Adam was naming all the animals, Satan was nowhere to be found. When Adam was tending to the ground, Satan was nowhere to be found. But interestingly enough, when Adam was presented with his wife, God married them, blessed them, and told them to be fruitful and multiply. What do you know? Here comes Satan.
yeah,
So Satan's big job, one of his big jobs, right, is to attack marriage. Because he hates it, because it's a resemblance of the relationship between God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So yeah, I think it's easy to put on a jersey for Team Married, but it's very difficult walking that out.
Yes.
I don't think that marriage is easy at all. It has its ups and downs, and I think the reason why marriage isn't easy is because it exposes the things that you try to hide. For one, so that's one thing. Marriage exposes the things that you try to hide. Two, it exposes all of the things you've swept under the rug emotionally that you have told yourself that you were healed from.
Yep, and things that you had like these secret little covenants. I will never do this. I'll never, I'll never be like this person. I'll never be in this situation.
You want to touch on that a little bit more?
Oh man, not really.
No.
Truthfully, no, not really.
Maybe later. I'll touch on it. So when I was growing up, I was actually just telling our youngest this tonight. And we'll make a video about our testimonies and everything later. But I didn't have it. I didn't grow up with my biological. I don't even know who the guy is. Okay, so my stepdad came into my life, and what I witnessed in marriage, in relationship, was very up and down. It was an emotional roller coaster. There was zero trust in it, zero security. It seemed like every time we got with family, just from my perspective as a young child. Now, I'm not saying that's what it was, but there's always different perspectives for everybody involved. And what I saw growing up, I saw that there was more conflict than there was embracing time together. Meaning that we would all get together with family, right? But then it would always seemed that there would be an argument. And then whenever we got back home, it was almost like a complaining session or a throwing someone under the bus, right, or something of that nature. Not all the time, but as a young child, here's my point. As a young child, those experiences imprinted on me so heavy. Now, maybe they weren't as heavy as it actually was that my lens was viewing it through, but it impacted me so much that I carried some of that unknown trauma and hurt and just view of relationships and what family was into my adulthood, right? And so when I got to my teenage years, I ran away. I can't even count how many times. I'm sure my mom could probably say, oh yeah, he ran away probably 20, 30 times. Now, I was really bad at it, so my mom would always find me. But, I made those internal vows to myself, being, you know what, I'm never, hey, we're being transparent here, right? So I always said, hey, I will never be like my mom and do that. I will never be like my stepdad and do that. I will never ... And I made just a long laundry list of things that I vowed that I would never do. Right. But what I found through those unresolved hurts, pains, abandonment, rejection, just all the emotional trauma, right? I turned exactly into those vows that I said that I would never be like, right? And so I think when I look at that and I say, hey, you know what? I was never really disciplined too much. My mom was a single mom, right? And this is kind of going into my testimony a little bit, but again, for 5 years, I don't even know my dad, right? So she raised me on by herself. And even though my stepdad was there was a clear division. I mean, it was clear as mud. Well, not mud. That's the wrong analogy.
That is the wrong analogy.
That's completely wrong analogy. But all I'm saying, it was like a steel wall of division, right? We did things as a family. We did, right? But when it came to intimate, personal situations inside the home, there was a clear division inside the home. And biblically speaking, even Jesus talked about it. A house divided will not stand. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I witnessed. Now, my mom and stepdad married until he passed away, and they stood, but how well did they stand? I think if the hurt and trauma that they experienced, if they experienced healing through that and been able to communicate, I think that they could have had a more enriching marriage, and I think that they could have really had something way more beautiful than they actually had, and that I witnessed. So I don't think marriage is easy, and I think another lie that I've been told, and this is going to hit a little more spiritual. Not necessarily a lie that I've been told, but a lie that I have come to believe.
Okay.
And here it is. Mm-hmm. When you are equally yoked with someone, or you get into a marriage covenant with two believers, right? The marriage is going to be easier than someone who is of opposite belief or maybe non-belief. So, meaning you have a follower of Jesus and maybe you have a Muslim, or you have a follower of Jesus Christ and you have a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness. If you are not biblically aligned, now, granted, Scripture says, yes, be equally yoked. This does not mean that interfaith marriages cannot succeed, but there are like a strong warning, right, in Scripture to say, hey, man, you know what? That's going to be hard in itself. But I think when two people are drawing close, no matter their walk, whether they're on milk or whether they're on jar food or whether they're on, in the kitchen mashing up peas and eating peas, or maybe they're at, Brazilian steakhouse eating steak. I think when two people are pursuing Christ in marriage, I think that they are going to be attacked just like they were attacked in Genesis 3. And it does not stop because Satan is relentless. We know that not only one of his big jobs. All right. So if you're married and you're watching this and you are followers of Jesus Christ, I'm not talking about a Christian, because everybody's a Christian until you open up that daggone book.
And then they want to pick and choose.
Absolutely. Right. And because God's word exposes them, right? I believe if two people, first one, Satan attacks marriage. One. The second thing he does is blind the minds, right? We see that in 2 Corinthians 4:4. He blinds the minds. And then thirdly, he is the father of lies. And so when you have two people pursuing Christ in marriage, trying to do their very best, there is going to be bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb.
Absolutely.
Because he hates it. And it doesn't matter if you're on milk or solid food. Just the mere fact that you wake up and you have a thought of going to church, he is going to attack that sucker. He's going to come after that thought and try to obliterate it. And so I think that that's a belief that I've come to realize is just because you are in a Christ-centered marriage, it's going to be easier. Absolutely not. I am a firm believer now that it is actually going to be extremely hard. And when I say extremely hard, extremely hard.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. You got to learn to die to yourself. You got to
Every
learn
day.
to be humble. You've got to learn to look. Here's the thing, right? Men, husbands are commanded to love their wives like Christ loved the church, right? And so women receive love through acts of love, acts of service, affirmation. You know the whole love language thing. Whatever, throw that out the window. The point is, women are emotional beings and creatures,
And that's how God created us.
they receive love differently than man. And so in marriage, if I'm to love Tay like Christ loved the church, that means I'm to give my life to her. I make sure, and that's hard, right? Especially when you're entering into a marriage with massive trust issues, when you've been screwed over your whole life,
Yeah.
when you've had constant people talking behind your back, cheering for your downfall, not having your back, screwing you over like crazy, right? And then you enter into a marriage with those things, and granted, let's not over spiritualize it. Yeah, we all know that Scripture says, "Do not put your trust in man, put your trust in God," right? But here's the thing: I should be able to trust my wife, and my wife should be able to trust her husband, right? And so, loving Tay and giving my life for her is my biblical husband role. Right? If I am operating as head of the house in that biblical husband role, then it's easy for Tay to submit to my leadership. Now, the way men receive love, right, is through respect, right? And so when we see respect, right, we equate that as our wives, a household, whatever, is loving us by honoring, the lay of the land that her and I both agree to, so on and so forth. And I think that's one thing that nowadays is not taught to our younger children at all. Society is seriously missing the mark on how to teach young women, young girls, prepare them to be wives, and preparing young boys to be husbands, right? And so I think that's a big miss in our society.
I agree, for sure.
Let's see. The next one is, if you'd have known all that you know now, right? Would the thought of getting married have changed? So if you knew that you would be going through all of this.
Oh, child.
Man.
Woo. You know what, babe? I would do it all again for you.
Man, that sounds sweet and romantic.
That is very, very true, because I have an amazing husband. Okay?
But
I really, truly do.
But that's, okay, that is today that we're talking about.
We're talking about today.
Right? But back then, when it started,
man, we were like two bulls. I don't know. No, back then, probably, if you asked me that question back then, the answer probably would have been different.
Yeah.
That's for certain. Like, it would have definitely been different. It's been an emotional roller coaster. It's been learning of self. I know that people say, like, before you get married, you should be this, you should be that, you should be in a certain place in your life and things like that. But marriage exposes some things. Marriage, there's things that are just really, like, laid out that you don't expect, right, when you walk into it.
Yeah.
And anybody that's walking around saying that it's perfect and it's easy,
There's
man,
some
y'all
really
must
red
not
flags
be
that y'all
right.
are hiding.
Something.
Like for real. Yeah. Because I'll be honest. I'm honest, truthful anyway.
Yeah.
But what I mean to say is, if God would have laid out the next year and a half and said, "Hey, this is what you're gonna go through with this
Right.
woman," I don't know.
I know.
It may have been hesitation.
Yeah.
I
Right
mean,
now, in today, I would do it again. But like I said,
back
if
then, if
back
it happened
then,
back then,
it would definitely have been.
there might have been some second thoughts, like
Would have been a whole lot of thoughts.
whole lot of second thoughts. Yeah, because I mean, we think about it like, man, if God tells us, "Hey, I'm gonna open up the heavens and rain blessings down on you in 10 years,"
Right.
and you're just waiting around for that. And for the next 3 years, you go through a living hell. You're gonna be like, I don't know what the heck is happening, but you're still gonna be trusting God and everything like this. But what if God told you, hey, in the next 10 years, this is everything that's gonna happen to you to get to that point? Would we actually be willing to sacrifice that stuff? And so I think marriage every day is a sacrifice to self. But you don't get taught any of that. And that's just because I think the older generation too, they were taught when you have problems, just kind of turn the other cheek there, or
I don't know what they were taught, but just a lot of people don't deal with stuff. They just kind of just go through life and just be content with what it is, versus seeking better and truth, and to truly like make the marriage better, to work on the marriage and work on the things that are important, because then they kind of like they're divided and they're just living their separate lives.
Right.
Like I've seen people where like older couples where they would have separate rooms and stuff, and I'm like,
My parents
What?
had separate rooms.
I'm like, why? Like, I want to put my feet against your feet, and I want to put my leg across your leg. Like, we can't
Right.
be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay. What advice would you give to a young couple who is engaged to be married, or a single person that's looking to get married? What advice would you give them?
for a single person
This
that's
is
looking to
Tay.
get married,
Yeah.
a single person that's looking to get married. I was gonna say something crazy.
What was you about to say back?
Don't
Say.
do it. No.
Oh man, what?
Don't do it. No. Cause I don't know. It's a lot happening right now in the pool, in the single pool right now. I just see it, and it's really crazy. Like, I don't know. I definitely don't know what advice I would give. I'll probably say pray over that, if that's something that you are very serious about.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Because you're essentially giving up yourself as you know it
are.
in that moment.
It changes. Like, it really does change. Like, it does. It's no longer just you.
Yeah.
So really.
Oh,
like,
that's good.
Really.
It's
pray
no
over
longer
that.
just you.
It's not just you anymore. So definitely, like, Pray over it. Be patient with it. Don't rush it. Allow God to lead your heart and lead you on that journey. And you don't have to. Here's the thing. That's another thing. People always think that you have to be at a certain, that certain spiritual point to be getting married and things like that. But that's not true either. Like when you find your person, they pour into you. Like the husband pours into the wife with the husband is uplifting and building, and you grow together.
Right.
It's not like you have to be just, like perfect. And a lot of people always walking around thinking that like you have to be at a certain standard. Like I see a lot of like women who are like, I need to have this before I do this, and I need to achieve this before I get married, and it's, I don't know.
Well, that's deep right there, because that's a lot of pride.
It's a lot of pride
when you think about it, because they're trying to. I think deep down the root of that is, well, I've got to have all this before I get married so that I can have a superior status to my partner. Because I want to make sure that even though I'm entering into a relationship with this person, that I can exit any time and be secure.
Right. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, that's deep right there, boy.
That is something.
Boy, that's some. Whoa, we just dropped some fire right there. Oh man, if you thought that was fire, man, go on and hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Yeah, that's big though.
It is.
That's like a big security blanket.
It is, and your identity is wrapped up in that as well.
Yeah, being a boss back. Yeah, that's interesting. I think, and anything else you think you would like give a single person or?
For somebody that's engaged.
Oh, okay.
Communicate. Make sure you are communicating, and don't just listen to respond. Right?
That's easy to do.
What's easy to do?
Listen to respond.
It is.
Just wait for the other person to shut up, or maybe not even shut up, just to interrupt.
Yeah. I would say premarital, even though like I'm gonna be transparent. Premarital don't prepare you prepare you for what you're actually like walking into.
Premarital classes.
Yeah,
like taking
premarital classes. It doesn't truly prepare you. It may give you a few pointers, but there's gonna be things that you and your spouse, may have happened to you, and you don't really know how to like navigate it. There's a lot of those for us, things that we don't know how to naturally just navigate because it's all new to us.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely do some premarital classes. Just pray about it, and just once you go into it, just don't give up on each other.
But that's the easy way to give up, because as humans, we always want to take the path of less resistance.
Yeah, we want the easy way.
We want the easy way. We don't want to put any effort into things. We don't want to stick it out. Yeah. We don't want to do anything. Yeah, I think all those are like really, really good points. Just to add on to that, some things, some advice that I would give is, no matter who it is, in marriage, in relationships, whether you're single, whether it's friendships, whether you're dating, or if you're pursuing marriage, or you are married, everybody has trauma. Mm-hmm. And I say this because me and Tay have talked about this multiple times. Trauma as a whole is like Baskin Robbins. Baskin Robbins has 31 different flavors. Okay? Trauma for everybody does not look the same. However, one thing that is the same is we as humans in our natural flesh, we experience hurt. We experience pain. We experience letdowns. We experience disappointments. How those manifest inside of us are unique to us. And it is not my job to tell Tay how she should process her hurt, her pain. And it's not her job to tell me how I should process my hurt and my pain, right? And I think that's one thing that we struggled with a lot in the very beginning, was she didn't understand my way of processing it. I didn't understand her way of processing it. And it's
actually,
easy.
I wasn't processing.
Yeah, true.
My whole thing was just to say, like, let's just get over it. Let's just move past it.
But that's what you saw. Mm-hmm. That was the training that you were brought up in as a child. That's what you were trained to do, right? But we see that doesn't work, right? It just builds up more friction, more resentment, more pain, more trauma that now you got to deal with.
Yeah.
So you're just adding on more and more and more. So I think also to back on that would be to invest in yourself, in your own healing and addressing things and discovering things inside yourself so that you can, look, here's the thing.
That sounds nice.
No.
And all. That does sound nice and all. To invest in yourself and to heal and all this stuff. Are you saying this to a person that is engaged? Are you saying this to a person that is single? Because that can be a life healing.
Yes.
Can be a life. It can be a lifetime.
Engaged and single person, right? Engaged and single people out there. Look, you have two broken people that are coming into a union. So you have not one broken person, but you have two broken persons becoming one broken person. So if there's any way that you can downgrade from a dump truck of trauma to a wheelbarrow or maybe a bucket and a shovel, do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because non-addressed pain and trauma is only going to multiply when you have two people who haven't addressed their trauma and pain,
right,
and they become one. So if you are engaged or if you're single pursuing to be married, invest in yourself. Seriously.
And some people may not even look at that. I done seen a lot of people come through, and I'm speaking of the program that we are currently going through. I've seen
Regeneration.
A lot of women come in and they say, "Oh, I'm just here for my husband because, you know."
Ooh, baby.
And there's nothing wrong. Like, I'm absolutely fine, right? They're there for support, but then they're like listening to the testimonies and the stories, and they can relate because, what do you know? They didn't realize, but they were broken as well, and they have some hidden trauma that has just been buried. And sometimes trauma that has happened to you in the past, it's just hidden. And as you begin to work through things just kind of like unfold. And it's like you remember things that you thought, you were like, dang, where did that come from? You know?
Right.
So I agree with that. You know, I think everybody needs to heal because our whole mankind is broken.
Yeah. Hey, and again, we're going to bring broken pieces into marriage.
Absolutely. You're not going to be perfect.
You're not going to avoid it, right? But if we can do our due diligence, throw away the pride and the selfishness to think that we are so self-righteous and just in this higher status than we actually are, because one thing to remember, we are all the same without Jesus Christ. our salvation. Okay, so if we didn't have Jesus Christ as our salvation, as our high priest, as the finished work of the cross covering us, there's no difference in any one of us.
Amen.
But it's only by what he did that sets us apart.
That's right.
Right? But that doesn't mean that just because the finished work on the cross is finished, that we're just going to have this easygoing, skipping through the daisies life. So invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You're worth it. Your partner is worth it. The next advice I would say would be, man, just buckle up, because marriage ain't no joke. Don't go into it like, because if you go into it like, you're gonna exit it like, and you're not gonna have any respect or value. You're not gonna see any value in marriage at all. So really think about it. And for married people who are already married, that may be going through just atom bomb after atom bomb, the best advice that I would say, and I'm going to put the link in the description of this video for regeneration, and that is just because I think that everybody, no matter what, should always seek out some type of biblical counseling, for one, but some type of ongoing support that pours into us and helps us be a better person. So if you're going through maybe some infidelity, or you're going through anger problems or pride or selfishness, or maybe trust issues or self-protect, things that everybody goes through. So if you're watching this and you're like, I don't have any of those things, that's pride.
I got a whole list of things.
Man, get into something like regeneration. We're going to put the link down there below. Type in your zip code, find the nearest church. It's not church specific, but get in there, check it out. Do the groundwork, go for 6 weeks. We challenge you to go through groundwork for 6 weeks and then take a step back to reflect.
Right.
And if you are 1%, if your perspective has changed 1% in 6 weeks of possibly, just maybe, there is something that I need to address, go for it. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to discover so much about yourself.
Yeah.
That I don't think you're going to regret. But I think it is very, very difficult to go through, because you are examining yourself, and it's all about you. So yeah, that's the advice that I would say. Man, well, we uncovered a whole bunch. I know I did a lot of talking. Tay just sat over there as my trophy wife,
and cheered him out.
But Tay's my trophy wife, but she's my helpmate. Right.
Oh my goodness, this man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's it for this video. That wraps up this series, Married in 90 Days. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Hey, if you got something out of this, we would like to know what you actually got out of it. So if there was something that touched on you, we want to know. Put it in the comments. Give us a like on here. And hey,
and just to remind y'all, we are not, licensed counselors or anything like that. We're just sharing our story and sharing what we know to be true, And
man, we getting a PA. We're in the process of getting our PhD from Hard Knocks Marriage College. Boy. I'm telling you. So yes, Tay, we are not licensed therapists or anything like that. But my goodness,
we are very open
if
and
we
transparent.
can pour into you guys,
So, yeah.
well, we're going to share, because 2 greatest commandments: love God, love people.
Yeah.
And we love you guys, and we
Yes.
thank you for all of your support. We truly do.
Yes.
Until the next video. Peace.
Bye.
From this day forward, I promise you